So next up, we have Shamil Kareem. And as Harish mentioned, he is a FinMango strategy intern with the FinMango India team. Shamil is currently a high school student in 12th grade. He has over the years developed a keen interest in tech and coding, and is also really interested in finance and personal finance specifically. So this particular panel is going to take a different direction. It's going to give you a high school student's perspective on personal finance and why he feels financial literacy is important. So over to you, Shaman.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Pranay. Can you hear me? You see me? Everything's fine?
Yeah, all good. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So, yeah, first off, like, thanks to FinMango US, FinMango India for having me. Actually, more than having me, thanks for having this webinar because I've been watching this webinar since 10 p.m. yesterday, and it's easily one of those informative webinars I've seen during this lockdown in the past 1 year. So, yeah, definitely hats off for that. But yeah, so a quick introduction. I'm just like person who does a lot of tech projects. I'm not really as smart. I'm not like, I don't think I'm the wonder kid like what Hari said, but I just do something unique. Whatever I find interesting, I just take it up and try to do that project. So essentially, I'll just start off like the first 5 minutes. I'm supposed to talk about myself. I'll just talk about my projects and everything. The next few minutes, I'll just quickly talk about why personal finance interests me and a couple of small topics here and there. So yeah, so like essentially, I'll just talk about my first project, which happened only a month back. So I felt that there was an issue related to the coronavirus where a lot of fake messages were floating around on WhatsApp. Like my parents, my brother, my friends were all getting messages which were not really true. So I thought that why don't I create a chatbot which is officially verified from the government, which texts you or you can text and reply back to you and gives you information related to COVID. So I contacted the Chennai government, met with the commissioners, met with head of states, and they basically said we'll take your chatbot and you can do and you can basically use it on all our social media platforms like Facebook, Telegram, WhatsApp, Twitter, all sorts of social media platforms. So basically, the chatbot is broken down into different things that it offers you, like daily updated zone-wise case counter for COVID. So in Chennai, there are 15 zones. So each on a daily basis is updated and tells you how many cases are there, and restrictions and relaxations, hospitals and testing centers, emergency travel pass application, which is something that people would definitely need. And I think it's probably the highlight of the chatbot, and actions taken, etc., and verified information in the sense that it tells you, like, for example, if some people say that certain ingredients can probably cure coronavirus or something, so this tells you that that's a myth and it'll bust that myth as well. So all that kind of stuff. So I launched it around like 3 weeks back, and in the first 3 weeks we got around 100,000 messages from the population of Chennai. And I'm also social media. I'm part of the social media team for the Chennai Corporation. We started off the Twitter page recently, and in the Twitter page, we basically got over the 3 weeks, we got 30.2 million tweet impressions, and we got 2.2 million profile visits. So, that's something that I'm really proud of as a part of the social media team, where I handle the Twitter part of it. And like Ayush was talking about how micro influencers are very important and social media is important. I think like this is probably a great learning experience to get like 2.2 million profile visits, etc., at this time. So yeah, that was one project. But yeah, so later on, like the next project I did was for Google Science Fair. As a 15-year-old kid in Dubai, I was in Dubai back then. I basically created an embedded motion detection system. So I just thought that why can't we why can't we reduce the cost of the current motion detection systems and make them cheaper for the developing nations and stuff. So I created a project which is 63% cheaper. I created a research like proposal and papers and everything, and submitted it to Google, and they basically awarded me as a global top 30 in the 15 to 16 age category. So that was one thing that I did. And then I worked with the UAE Space Agency as well. So like I helped launch projects to the International Space Station. So although this is not tech, my project was related to engineering, and I basically helped with the project that compares the rusting of steel or aluminum in microgravity or space in comparison to how it's done on Earth. And projects like that, and with my friends back in Sisha. So I'm from Sisha, and like as students, we created an organization called Toy Joy Foundation, where we basically help move toys from your house, like unused toys. As a parent whose kids have outgrown those toys, you take those toys and give it to a special needs house. So we have partnered with Dunzo, the Google-backed logistics company, and they've helped us like take toys from there, from privileged household to like an special needs house or an NGO or an orphanage or something. And yeah, so we've done like around 10,000 toys donations so far. And yeah, and like finally, like one project that that's very close to my heart is Code Dojo Chennai. So just a bit of introduction as to how I got into coding was this place called Code Dojo, which is basically where you can go for free and learn about coding, and there's students who teach you coding and everything like that. So I joined in 8th grade, and a few of my mentors who were at that time in 12th grade, they taught me a lot about coding and all of the things that I know. Mostly it's from Code Dojo. So now that I'm in 11th grade, and now I'm in 12th grade, but I started in 11th grade. So I just thought that it's my time to give back to the 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th graders, and probably teach them the same things that I was taught, and probably motivate them just like how I was motivated. So I started off Code Dojo Chennai. I took it over actually, Code Dojo Chennai. I took it over, and yeah, so that's something that I also do. Like I basically teach students. So right now, because of lockdown, we do it online, but usually we do it on Saturdays. So you can message me, and I'll probably link the websites or something, or you can just visit my website or something. I'll probably link that as well. So yeah, so you want to jump in, Pranay?
Yeah, sure, sure. So, that's really fascinating, right? For someone as young as you, for you to be able to do so much and be so passionate about it, I think that is extraordinary. So, how did this, love for coding and, interest in personal finance, how did your interest in tech and finance really grow over the years? What made you so passionate about it? What made you say,
Yeah.
okay, look,
So
I'm at this really critical stage in my life. I have an entire career, the next, most crucial stage of my life ahead of me. How did all of that translate into, I need to be passionate, I need to be aware, I need to be doing all these things and putting myself.
correct, correct. So that's actually a pretty interesting question. So tech as a whole, like I was introduced to tech as a young kid as well. Like in 8th grade, I guess my brother introduced me to tech and coding projects and everything. And I guess I could attribute a lot of my work and my inspiration to start off coding and everything to him. And like I've done a lot of tech in that because of him. But finance is something that I picked up myself, because essentially it's the thing that like whether you're in healthcare, whether you're in finance, whether you're tech, whether you're entertainment, show business, whatever it is, the fundamental element that affects all of us is money. And I just felt that it impacts, then obviously it impacts 7.5 billion people as well. So I just felt like that impact is really really crazy. But the problem is the unusual and concerning personal finance literacy rate. So there's a big issue as to people, they don't know much about personal finance, they don't know much about basic finance terms. And I can give you this example as a 12th grader inside the science stream. So I'm in 12th grade now, and I've still not been taught anything related to taxes, stocks, 401ks, mutual funds, and all sorts of stuff. So I just feel like if that's what I'm going through, and my brother who's in engineering, he's not gone through any like finance related education from the college. So he's like as engineering students, they're not given any exposure to basic finance terms that they will obviously require when they go into the professional field. So I just felt like there's a problem, and and the cause of the problem and the solution is basically education of the people, like basically personal finance education. So that's the thing. And like also like when I speak to elders and everything, they're like don't worry too much about money, because money can't buy happiness, right? And I partly believe that, but I also believe that no money can sometimes bring sadness as well. So like basically to prevent all of that, and like to solve this is why I got into this personal finance field. And as a kid, like right now, my life goal is to create a startup, like a fintech startup, which has to do with personal finance. Because I feel that as a startup, you have to be impactful, right? You have to create a big impact, and that's why you start off the company. So I see a 7.5 billion people possible impact, and I see the problem and the possible solution as well. So yeah, that's why I got into it. And I'll just throw in a bit of facts, like I've written it down over here. I'll just throw in a bit of facts. So basically, the thing is, there's an exam called PISA, which is an international standardized test, which is done on 15-year-olds every 3 years. So the report showed that only 48% know like basic finance terms, which shows a strong need for like a comprehensive financial education. And also only 27% of those 15-year-olds knew what was inflation or could do simple interest rate calculations. They couldn't do like most of the basic stuff that you're required to do by the time you're a 16-year-old or 15-year-old. And a lot of, and the biggest problem is that personal finance, personal student loans and everything actually for the colleges, which is something that I'll jump into later. But just to give you a bit of context, like in the past, what I would say 16 years, there's been an increase of 56% in the average debt of students. And what people are saying right now is that most of the people who took college loans in 2004, most of them are going to default in 2023. That's what the study said in 2019. But now I guess because of this COVID situation, it's definitely the defaulting is going to start off very quick. Like it's probably going to start off in 2021. So, all of those are a bunch of problems, and I just felt like that's something that I could contribute to. Like with Harish, he's been mentoring me. I always go to him with all the ideas I have, and Finmango also as well. So like, yeah, and I follow the Instagram page, very insightful posts and everything. So yeah.
Right, Rahul. So since we don't have a lot of time, let me just
Yeah.
quickly wrap up with two
Yeah.
questions. Right.
Yeah.
What would your advice be to teenagers who are in school or in high school? What would your advice be to them to make themselves more aware, make themselves more literate, and really understand, or rather enhance their understanding on financial literacy, and just gain overall awareness so that they could be better prepared going into college and then their careers and their next stages of life? What would your advice be to them?
Yeah, so first I'd say, first things first, you need to get the motivation to learn personal finance and why it's important to you. Because many people think that it's just another subject that they need to learn, but no, it's something that's definitely going to impact you when you're a young kid. So I'll give you an example. 3 years ago, while I was paying attention to the US FinMango course, I think it's Bob Willingham and another person, Richard. They were having a class related to personal finance for high school students and college students, where they're teaching about mutual funds and how to compare mutual funds, stocks, bonds, all sorts of stuff, which I think was easily the most insightful resource related to personal finance that I've seen in my past 1 or 2 years. So I really feel like like these kind of webinars or these kind of like shows or these kind of YouTubers who talk about personal finance, and there are a lot of YouTubers that make finance a fun thing to learn. So they teach you personal finance in a fun way. So all that kind of stuff is definitely something interesting. And so I just want to bring up one small point that Bob Billingham, I'm pretty sure he's not here because he's probably asleep right now in the US, but what he talked about 3 hours ago at 7 a.m. India time was, he said that the best way to reduce risk as to investment and everything is just to invest over a long period of time. So he said that if you're going to invest at the age of 30 and then you're going to pull out at the age of 50, it's going to definitely be higher risk. But if you're going to start at the age of 20 or start at the age of 17 and then pull out at 50, the risk is substantially lower. It's much, much lower. And there's a lot of graphs and everything which is available on the FinMango website. So you can just go to the Finvest option on the FinMango website, and there's the full PDF presentation that he showed at 7 a.m. India time. So that mainly, so just look through resources, browse through the internet. I know like as Gen Zs, we're really good at browsing through the internet and everything. So just going through YouTube videos and that kind of stuff. I think that's basically all that you need to do. Like just browse through the internet. That's what I did.
All right, Shravan. Thank you so much for that insight. Lovely talking to you. Unfortunately, we're out of time.